New York State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman and State Controller Tom DiNapoli, they kicked off this week's convention with basically uncontested within the party. Both of them got the nod here for another term in office. And again, the polls here show, and using Bill's number, the magic of 50. Right now, Tom DiNapoli is there. This poll was put out before his opponent was announced here, Antonacci. Am I saying it right?
Antonacci, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. But look at Mr. Schneiderman. He's under 50% at 46%. And John Cahill, I think everybody at this table will agree, very credible. And everybody thinks that I think it's gonna get tighter here. All that being said, and I want to talk about what's going on behind the scenes in a second. I know obviously you feel strongly that Rob's got a good chance, but of the other two guys I mentioned, you think Cahill's got a real decent chance, don't you?
I do, yeah. I think Cahill does. Schneiderman's numbers are surprisingly poor. And from what I understand, Governor Cuomo's people or funders are helping John Cahill.
Yes.
John Cahill is universally respected. I don't know if anyone here likes or dislikes him, but he's well respected. Yep. He's a straight shooter. People have always liked him. He comes in with a good reputation. And with enough money, he's got a shot at that.
The interesting numbers there are that the Democratic numbers vary from Cuomo to Schneiderman to DiNapoli. Republican numbers are all right together, and the candidate in the lead is unknown. That is a reflection upon the voters' identity, how they identify the Republican Party. The party of austerity, anti-choice, anti-health care. This party is so badly mired in its right wing that a candidate is going to have to disown that right wing to rise up in the polls.
It's total nonsense. Harry Wilson ran for state comptroller 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. He came, I think he was at about 23% at this point. I did his campaign. He ended up with 48% of the vote. He almost pulled it off. He didn't back off his positions. He stayed with them. This is what you're looking at is a result of a lack of money in the field and that these guys are challengers. They're not well known yet.
I'm not talking about one candidate. I'm talking about three candidates, all within 2 points.
No, but the question was, could Cahill break through even if the other parts of the ticket may not?
The question is could. The answer is yes, they could. But if you look at the point I'm trying to make, which is that it isn't at this stage about the individuals. Yeah. It's about a party so reactionary that the voters of New York are rejecting it. They'll end up in the low 30s.
But Richard, but what's working for Republicans in this case, historically and traditionally, if whatever party has the top office, in this case the governor's mansion, as you well know, voters like to have another party in one of the other top three state positions in this state. So Democratic governor, perhaps a Republican controller, or state attorney general. And, DiNapoli, he appears to be in very safe ground. If there's a weak link to this chain, it is Mr. Schneiderman. Make no mistake about that. And if Cahill can develop a personality a little bit, he may win this thing.
To that point, Andrew, what's fascinating is, Bill referenced it, it was a small little blurb, but the idea that one of the bigger fundraisers for the governor is also raising money for Cahill.
Ken Langone?
No, it wasn't Langone. There was another name though that was a big fundraiser, but it's an open secret. I mean, what did he do with DiNapoli as it related with matching funds? What has he done in terms of Schneiderman? It's well known in terms of the settlement here that he reappropriated instead of leaving it in the hands of Schneiderman's office to use after that big settlement. My point is, I don't want to get on the couch here, but have we figured out, is it just that he wants every bit of power he can do?
Yes.
It's that simple?
It's that simple, yeah. But interestingly, the governor has a former Republican fundraiser named Kathy Blaney, who's very, very good. She raised money for George Pataki. That's also John Cahill's fundraiser. They share a fundraiser there. But yeah, it's about power. It's always been about power with Governor Cuomo. It's all about power. It's not ideology.
Thank God the voters of the state are, shall we say, more elevated in their judgments than this table.
Oh, stop it.
The fact of the matter is that this is going to be about ideas as much as it's going to be about
would you stop that?
And as long as the Republican Party is
where's his white horse reaction?
I do agree with Richard, I think, more than the rest of the panel does. First of all, I don't think Andrew Cuomo's I am, but I don't think Andrew Cuomo's going to waste any of his political capital coming to the aid of Eric Schneiderman or Tom DiNapoli. Certainly
I'm not saying that, Andrew. Let me just make my point, though. My point is not that he's got to help him. He's gone out of his way to keep him down.
I don't think he wants them system gone, and I think if this is going to be a title election,
I disagree.
If either Schneiderman or DiNapoli loses, it's going to be bad news across the Democratic
How can you say
ticket.
he wants DiNapoli around? He treats DiNapoli like he kicked his dog or something.
Yeah, his nickname
honestly,
for him is just
you
I won't
can't
even
go a
repeat it.
few months
But
without
Richard,
him doing another
you don't
shot.
think that
at
doesn't
it.
mean he wants to get rid of him.
Yeah, you don't think
that
the
doesn't
guy-
mean he wants to get rid of him.
the job of
he
the
wants him.
He's mean to
You know,
him.
one
He's mean to
thing
him.
that was said on the other side of the table. It is true. There's no rationale behind this. This is who Andrew Cuomo is. He wants all, and I say this over a 20-year relationship of knowing him. Excuse
That's
me.
a very sophisticated analysis. I think
Okay,
you're right. I didn't want to. I didn't want to
He
get you
wants-
off a roll.
Elizabeth, I'm telling you now.
Elizabeth, I'm gonna- he wants all the power for himself.
Do you really-
Tom DiNapoli is such a
and
nice
any
guy. He's a nice guy.
Democrat that's Rudy Giuliani was the same way. I mean, any Democrat creeping along, he's like, stop that now.
Do you really think that Andrew Cuomo wants the state comptroller, the guy who would have the most to say about his budget numbers and whether they add up or not, being in Republican hands?
I don't
or
think
do you think
he
he'd
cares.
rather be top
I don't think he cares at all, and I think that if he could stick it to Napoli, he would. And more than that, think about for a second, when Andrew Cuomo was Attorney General, or when Spitzer was Attorney General, were they as shackled by the governor as much as this guy is? Now, maybe you can say Schneiderman shouldn't care. He should just do what he's going to do. But he's been muzzled. It's an open secret. I'm not telling tales out of school. So I'm just saying he had the same gig and he didn't have the same restrictions put on that he's put on this guy. It's a different set of rules.
It's
And I don't think they're all the same.
Ideas, and as long as the Republican Party sticks with its austerity, regressive social policies, it'll be stuck in the low 30s in the state of
The
New York.
extreme reactionary Republican Party.
That's correct.
Well, let's agree on this much. Nationally, we did get a sense where the party is. I'm talking about the grand old party. On Tuesday, Tea Party candidates were beat across the country in the biggest primary races in the midterm cycle. Is the Tea Party's power really mitigated, if not obsolete here, or Republicans leaning more towards the middle? Our panel's going to weigh in on that when we come back.